So I want to continue the series where I'm talking about my thoughts behind the work for the Voluspa. And so next up we have a piece that I call Thor Rises. It's right after the part in the lore where the giant is attempting to get Freya, and the deal with the gods goes bad. And I mean, there's a whole story, but there's a specific line about Thor rises up, and it's just like, you know what? The gods are done and they've had enough, and now it's time to send in their heavy hitter, which of course is Thor. And when I thought about depicting Thor, I honestly did one image of Thor a while ago, back in 2013. You can see it on my website. It's called Thor as Donner. So Donner is the German name for Thor, and it's a thing I've had trouble. I relate so closely to Odin. I'm sure it's because I'm an artist. My interest in poetry, creativity. I mean, the name Odin, of course, comes from Woad, and it's about inspiration. So those sort of gods, they speak to me personally. But Thor is such an important god, and he speaks to so many people. And I want to do him justice. I wanted to do an image that captures that. But part of that is having to get in my own head about my relationship with Thor, and it's just a more complex relationship for me. It doesn't come quite as naturally, but I know that one of the things Thor has been depicted so often as this very human-looking hero, either very muscular or just really kind of overlarge, and the red beard, and even I've depicted him this way in the past, and it's so common. It's something we've all seen a lot, that I really just wanted something different. And so as I was starting to feel out the ink blobs within this piece, this idea of Thor being made of an oak tree really spoke to me. And I remembered from my reading that in Germany, the oak tree is actually called Donner's oak, or Thor's oak. And so at some point there was a connection between Thor and the oak tree. And so I started imagining him as this tree come to life. And then I did a little bit of research to see what other plants might be associated with Thor, and it came up that a common house leek in various parts of Europe was called Thors Beard, and they used to plant this leek on top of a thatched roof house, and it would grow, and it was sort of a phallic looking plant that would grow off, but it would also get struck by lightning and scientifically work as a lightning rod. So it would make sense that in order to protect your home, you would want a lightning rod, and particularly if your house is made of straw or hay. And it would also make sense as a people that associated the storm and lightning with Thor, that lightning strikes it. It's Thor's beard, it's Thor's protection on your home. So I thought of the idea of maybe perhaps Thor having this plant on his head rather than showing it down in his beard, like having these pieces sticking up off. And then of course, central to Thor is always the hammer, but many hammers that have been found also have an oath ring on them. And so I wanted that connection between Thor as a keeper of oaths, as a keeper of your word, of your bond. And then of course Thor is propelled through the sky by his chariot, pulled by the goats. And so in order to show that, instead I had this idea, like, what if the legs of Thor were actually the goats? A less literal interpretation of Thor being propelled by goats, and instead, Thor is biter, Thor is gnasher. It's a part of how he moves. He moves with the fury of two goats ready to devour, particularly in this pose where Thor is done with these giants. He's pissed, and he is ready for action. And so I ended up with what I hope is this sort of elemental force of nature, and that is as much Thor as the more common, barbarian, muscle-clad, hammer-wielding warrior. And I got a good response online, and I personally am very excited about this piece. It's something I want to revisit, perhaps in an oil painting in the future. I'm not sure, but it's a central piece to the Voluspa in terms of the work I've created, and I hope you enjoy it and enjoy learning a little bit about it as much as I'm really proud of this piece. So yeah, thank you guys. As always, I appreciate it.